Hi everyone, this is Aga from EurekaCrystalBeads.com and I'm here with a super fun beading tutorial for you. But before I get started, just a quick reminder to check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and don't forget about the notification bell so you're always notified when we post new content. In this video, we're going to be making earrings that I called Midnight Gala because that's the vibe that they give to me. Like if I was going to an elegant gala, let's say, I don't know, to the opera or to like a charity ball or something, I would wear earrings like this. And all of the beads that I'm going to be using today are from our Sapphire Dusk Collection Light. That's our mid-May 2025 beads collection. This is the inspiration photo for this collection. And what inspired it is this color of crystals like this one here. So this one is from Krakovski and it's a cushion cut. And we're going to be bezeling this with various different types of beads. It's going to be quite easy, but it looks quite fancy as well. So let's take a look at what supplies we're going to need to make these earrings. Well, first of all, we're going to need a cushion cut stone. This is a 12mm stone. Then we're going to need some Czech SuperDuos beads. We're going to need some delicas, and here I have this beautiful blueberry mix that was in the collection. Then we're going to need some 3mm bugle beads. Here I also have some 15-ohs. These are Toho round 15-ohs, and I really love this color. This is semi-glazed navy blue. It's absolutely lovely. In here, I don't know if you can see, but I also have two 11-ohs as well. So these are 15-ohs, and here I have 11-ohs, and this is just over here to put it on the earring finding because I just found this way of putting it on that ear wire the prettiest, to be honest. So I'm going to use two of the 11-ohs. Then here I have my earring finding. I love those leather bags because they're just quite secure. You probably won't lose them because they snap at the back. So that's very useful. Here I also have a dangly bit. This is just a little drop charm. It's gold plated. And I just think it kind of completes the entire earring. It's absolutely optional. You can skip it and just do the bezel part. But if you want, you can include it. And if you do want to include it, that's where I also decided to put two of the elite bicone beads in Reinvented Dark Sapphire. This is a beautiful color. We have some stones in this color in the collection as well. Absolutely gorgeous, and that's where they are. In here, I skipped this, but you're also going to need some 3mm fire polish beads. And finally, some 4mm pearls. I know I put out so much. We're just going to use 4 of them. So these are all the supplies that you need for the earring. In addition to that, I'm going to be using 6-pound fireline in white, but I do think that a black fireline would be a little bit better here, but ultimately it doesn't make that much of a difference because we don't have many transparent beads here. With that, I'll be using size 12 needle, and here I have some thread cutters to cut off the excess thread. Alright, I think that's it. Let's start beading. So here is the plan of action. First, we're going to do the back of the earring in here. Then we'll go to this outer edge. We're going to add some bugles, and that's going to be our bezel. Then we're going to go to one of the pearls and attach the drop. And finally, we're going to attach the earring to the earring finding. As you can see, not so many steps, so let's get started. I put about half a wingspan, slightly over half a wingspan of thread on my needle. I'm not cutting enough of the spool yet. And what I'm going to pick up, first I'm going to pick one color from this lovely mix of delicas, and I'm going to pick up 4 delicas and 4 SuperDuos interchangeably. So you start with a delica and you end on a SuperDuos. And I'm going to pass through them once more, so I slide them down my thread. And I pass through all of those beads again to create a circle. Make sure you don't miss any of the delicas here. Alright, and where the ends of my thread meet, that's where I snip the thread off my spool. And I'm going to tie a knot. I'm just leaving enough of a tail to weave it in later on. I'm tying 3 regular square knots. And that's what you get, this sort of a cross shape. And I pass through the next delica and SuperDuos. hide the knot in the delica. Now I can step right up the other hole of the SuperDuo that I'm coming out of. In between each of the SuperDuos, I'm going to put a delica, 2 SuperDuos, and another delica. So I just pass through the free hole of the next SuperDuo. Another one of these. Another. And the final one. Now you want to be coming out of one of the SuperDuos, and you're just going to step up the other hole of it. And now when you find your thread coming out of a SuperDuo that has a longer distance to the next SuperDuo, so like above the middle SuperDuo in here, and not immediately between the 2 SuperDuos that are connected with that one hole, in here you're going to put in a delica, pearl delica, and you're just going to go through the free hole of the next SuperDuo, and in between the 2 SuperDuos that are connected in the bottom hole, you're going to put a 3mm fire polish just through the free hole of that next SuperDuo, and it should pop right in. Delica, pearl, delica again, connecting these 2. Now a fire polish, delica, pearl, delica, fire polish, delica, pearl, delica, and the final fire polish in here. I'm going to pass through the delica, pearl, delica that are next as well, and through the SuperDuo and the first fire polish that I added in this row. Now I'm going to flip the work over because I want to be on the side where my tail thread is not. So I want to be on this side to finish my bezel, and now my thread is exiting the bead in this direction. Now time for the front. So you want to be exiting the fire polish bead, and the only thing you're going to be doing for this row is adding bugle, fire polish, bugle, and you're gonna go to the next 3mm fire polish in your beadwork. You pass through it. You add your little sequence. At this point, it's not gonna look like much, but we're gonna connect it in a minute. And another bugle, fire polish, bugle. I go to the next fire polish here, and I add my sequence on top. And again. And one more time. It's a good idea to reinforce the structure now, so I'm just going to go through all of those beads again, so all of my bugles and my fire polish, and I'm going to pull tight every now and then. Right now I've finished going through all of those beads again. Now I'm going to pass through this next fire polish, the next bugle, and the fire polish in between the bugles. So we want to be exiting the bugle that's on top here, on one of those little triangles, and we're going to connect those 4 fire polish beads with a 15-0 bugle 15-0. So that's what you pick up, 15-0 bugle 15-0, and you just pass through this next fire polish. Don't pull tight yet because that's when we're going to put in our stone. Another 15-0 bugle 15-0, and passing through the next fire polish bead on top of this triangle, so above the pearl. You don't want to be going through the fire polish from the previous row, just this last one. That's my third sequence. In my fourth. As I said, I'm not pulling tight yet. That's where I pick up my stone. I'm just going to clean it up real quick so that it doesn't have any of my fingerprints. It will anyway, so get ready with a Q-tip to clean it afterwards. But there you go, you put it in, and you want to put it in so that it's kind of a square, right? So you want the four corners to end up like where your pearls are. So that's how you want to place it. Then you tighten it all up. And of course, go through all of the beads in the last row again. So the 15 bugle 15 and the 3mm fire polish. Once you're finished going through all of the beads in that last row, you want to pass through the 15 bugle 15 again, only now without the 3mm fire polish. And we're going to add a little detail that's going to make it a little bit prettier, but also reinforce this entire structure. The element in question are two 15s. And so my thread is coming out of the last 15 in the sequence of 15 bugle 15. And above that fire polish, I'm going to add the two 15s by just passing right through the next 15 bugle 15. And I'm going to place these two 15s like inside over here and pull tight so that they place themselves like this. Another pair through the next sequence of 15 bugle 15, putting them above my crystal, pulling tight. Now the third pair. And the fourth. And that's it, that's the bezel. Now I want to reach one of those pearls at the bottom here to attach my dangle and or my earring finding. So I'm exiting this 15 in the sequence of 15 bugle 15, so I pass through the fire polish, then the bugle that goes down, the next fire polish, then I'm going to try and go through one of those SuperDuos here. It might be a little tight, but you can do it. I'm gonna go in the back. And finally, the Lika and the pearl. Now, super simple, you're gonna wanna pick up 15, your bicone 15, the drop charm 15 bicone 15. Now this would also work with a 3mm fire polish instead of the bicones, but this way it just looks prettier. You go through the pearl in the same direction, so you kind of put the beads around it. And voila, that's it. I'm just going to go through the sequence one more time to reinforce it. And that's it. Now I want to reach the opposite pearl to attach the earring finding, so I'm just going to go to the back and I'm going to go along the edge, so through the Lika in the next SuperDuo. Fire polish, SuperDuo Lika pearl, and so on. Now that I think about it, the most challenging thing about making these earrings is now just going through all of those SuperDuos that are totally locked in place. But I think I'm about to reach my final pearl. And over in here, I'm going to attach my earring finding with the sequence of 15 bugle 11, then my earring finding 11 bugle 15, And I'm going to go around that pearl as well. Oh, and by the way, make sure that you're attaching your earring finding in the right direction because I just attached mine wrong and had to undo it. So make sure it's facing the same way as the front of your crystal. I'm going to go through the beads in this entire sequence 2 more times to secure. And make sure that your earring finding is kind of hugged by these 2 11-0s here so that it doesn't hang on the thread but rather is held on both sides by the beads. Now if you are a little perfectionist like me and you want it perfect, so you don't want these tiny little almost unnoticeable gaps like in between the 15-0s and the beadwork, so like this one, this is seamless. This one has some gaps and some side-to-side movement. So if you don't want that, this is totally optional, but what you can do is when your thread is coming out of this 15-0 here, you can just go down through the delica next to the pearl. And that's what's going to seal it shut. And now you could go all the way around to go on the other side, but I'm going to cheat a little. I'm just going to try to wiggle my way through that SuperDuo here. Maybe I'll do it from the front towards the back. It's going to be easier. And I'm going to cheat by going over the threads that are in here in between that SuperDuo and the fire polish and the bugle on top here. Like just like this, just around the thread. Not passing through any beads. Going through the loop that's created here. So I'm kind of creating a little bit of a knot. And then I go right back through the SuperDuo, or at least attempt to. So the thread is kind of blocked on that thread that connects this SuperDuo to the bugle. And that's how I can go right back, and I go back through the delica and through all of my sequence with the earring finding as well. And down to that 15-0. And I'm just going to connect it to the delica on the other side. And there you have it, no more spaces, and it's all a lot more sturdy. I'm gonna attempt to go through the SuperDuo again to tie my final knot and weave in both of my tails. And the earrings are ready. Aren't they lovely and quite simple to make if you don't count the passing through all of those SuperDuos again once they're already locked in the beadwork, but I think it's worth it. They look so nice, and I think they're totally suitable to be worn every day, like even to work, just to bling up your day a little bit. As I mentioned, all of the beads and the stones and the findings were from our mid-May 2025 collection, which is the Sapphire Dusk Collection Light. And light just means that there are fewer beads and fewer supplies in the collection. It's more focused, more project driven, and more affordable. So I do recommend our light collections as well as our regular collections, of course. Both our collections and all of those supplies separately can be found at eurekacrystalbeads.com, of course. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial and see you in the next one. Bye!